Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Now, today is a bit of a different video. Normally, my bread and butter is comedy. However, today I wanted to take a slightly different approach. I want to talk about a subject which is near and dear to me, and that is mental health. It is a crisis. We are facing a mental health crisis across the globe, and you know, part of the reason why I wanted to get into comedy and why I like doing it is because I feel it gives people a bit of an escape, provides that laugh, and laughter should never be underestimated. It is nature's natural medicine. I just wanted to speak in this video about my experiences. Now, um, by the way, full disclaimer going forward, I am not a mental health professional. I do not have any qualifications to my name, and if you are suffering or struggling with your mental health in any way, then you should seek professional help. And thankfully, we are, at least in the Western world, we are now at a point where, more help is available generally. Not enough, nowhere near enough, but at least it's a start. And attitudes towards mental health have drastically changed for the better generally. But so I just wanted to get that out of the way. But anyways, I just want to offer some advice, some words of what I hope are wisdom to my viewers, and also just give you a bit of an insight into me, which you may or may not want, but I'm going to give you anyways. I struggle with OCD. Specifically, I have what they call the pure O type. Now, I'm not going to bog this video down in psychological explanations, but needless to say, it's sort of like what some people would regard. It's kind of it's an under-recognized form of OCD in which people who, like me, who have pure O, we don't do maybe things that you would expect of an OCD sufferer. Like, we may not have physical rituals, like we may not wash our hands excessively or anything like that, but a lot of it's internal, so a lot of it is in our thoughts. And we struggle a lot with what's like. Basically, I always remember I watched a bit of stand-up that Jim Carrey did, and he talked one time about little urges, little thoughts that people get, and there is somewhat of a dark humor in them, because they're ridiculous, because as Jim Carrey wonderfully put in his little bit of his wonderful little bit of stand-up, he said things like, what would happen if I punched that person? What would happen if I just, what would happen if I ran away over that bridge? What would happen if I just ran straight off it? What would happen if I did that? What would happen if I just took this fork and stuck it into my knee? It's, the nonsense. It's basically just the sort of rubbish that most people's brains just throw into the bin with ease. And this is the thing. People, I feel it is something that, and it's not their fault. I'm not saying that, oh, you all just don't understand how lucky you are. But most people, you see, we have ridiculous thoughts. It's part of being human. It's part of the human condition. But the problem is most people have the ability to just put them in just go, oh, piss off. Like crinkling up a piece of paper, chucking it in the bin, bye-bye, and it's gone. And it doesn't impact them. Whereas people with OCD really take the shit to heart. And we can't help it because it's otherwise it wouldn't be a condition. But they generate a lot of anxiety. But because it's not your conventional form of OCD, it's hard for people to understand. It's hard for people to get, because then you'll often just hear, oh, why don't you just not think about it? Well, if we could just turn it off like a ham radio, then there wouldn't be an issue. And most people do have that ability, but not people with OCD. But along with that, I mean, I just do suffer a lot from anxiety. And I know how sort of all consuming anxiety can be. And especially nowadays, you know, you look at the cost of living, um, the the various crises that are developing throughout the world. It would drive someone to having a problem with anxiety if you didn't already. It's a terrifying world. It's not a good world out there. And you know, I mean, I'm 31 and I do worry. I mean, I'm still, by most accounts, a youngster. I've still got most of my life to live, and it's the prospect of living in this and you know existing in this current world that we have is a terrifying one. And the future's never been more uncertain. So this is the perfect climate for anxiety to fester and grow. And but you know, obviously I've been through counselling and things like that, and you know, I would like to sort of just share some tips on how to deal with anxiety. And I think the number one thing I've always learnt with anxiety is to keep your thoughts in the present. Thoughts of the future, thoughts of what may happen. You know, it's okay to acknowledge realities. I'm not saying that you have to go around with rose-tinted glasses because that isn't helpful. But at the same time, there's no point getting wrapped up too much in, you know, what ifs. Deal with things on a day-by-day basis. Take things as they come. You know, certainly in terms of panic attacks, which I have, you know, I've had quite a few of them. You know, basically you find that anxiety can, even though it seems terrifying, especially when it's overwhelming, whenever you actually just sit down and say to yourself, you know, bring it on, just let it flow over you like a river over, like you know, the stream from a river over rocks. You just be like water, let it flow. And then you find that actually it loses a lot of its momentum because, in a sense, anxiety is like a bully. The more it will constantly try and prod you to get a response out of you, and the moment it gets a response, it will continue to prod in that area. It's like a shark in the water, shark to blood. So it's avoiding and being able to resist the temptation to react. That is the core gist. Anxiety in all its forms is a provocateur. And the key to beating it, well, you can't, this is the thing. Like with my OCD, it's a chronic condition. You can never get rid of it. You can never beat it. You should never try to aim to beat anxiety because you can't beat it. It's not an enemy that you can beat, but it is containable and it is manageable. And the key to managing it and containing it is not giving into it, not taking its bait. And its bait can be very, very persuasive. It can be about your relationships, thoughts, your environment, any host of things, even your own sense of reality. It can even attack anxiety, which is particularly distressing. But as long as you basically learn that it's a magic show, it's illusory, it's smoke and mirrors. There is a reality behind the smoke. You just have to wait for it to clear. You just have to basically, it does take strength and it is hard. And definitely depending on how good your support system is, what your current circumstances in life are, if they're all positive, then it does help. You know, there's no doubt about it. But it's important to stay in the moment and let the smoke clear on its own. And then You will have a way through. Light at the end of the tunnel, that whole cliche. But, I know firsthand how devastating anxiety can be. And I just felt that. I also felt that making this video at this point in time, at this stage in history that we are in, is extremely important because, like I said, unfortunately, these are not good times, and anxiety is at an all-time high, and it's important to just stay resolute in the face of anxiety. If you are struggling, please talk to someone, talk to anybody. It's not easy, but I feel as a society we're better at it now than we used to be, but there's still a lot of work to do in that regard. But never let pride or what will people think of me stop you from reaching out, because ultimately there are much bigger fish to fry than what people will think of you or your pride. You have to put that to one side and just be bold enough and brave enough to say, I need help. I'm struggling here. It could be big, could be small. Anything. And it's also important to keep on top of issues that maybe are affecting your mental health, even if you don't think they're big enough to warrant the help, because some things can grow, and it's important to nip issues in the bud. And always ensure that you have a good, even though sometimes it's next to impossible, but as best you can, try and have that net of support for yourself, so that you have someone that you can go and confide in. I mean, I've been quite lucky, and that I have had people in my life who I could do that with. But it's also been, it's funny, even though I've had help, it's been quite a solitary battle at times. But the greatest battles are in our own heads. There's no doubt about that. In closing, I would say keep safe, practice living in the moment, and also just remember to open up to someone you trust if you are struggling with anything. I can't overstress how important that is. Anyways, folks, thank you for bearing with me. I hope that this gives you a bit of, I wanted to sort of humanitize myself a wee bit, humanize myself a wee bit, and sort of give you an insight into sort of, things that I have to deal with, that we all have to deal with. And I also wanted to just give a few words of support to you all out there. But anyways, I will be back shortly with a new funny video. Normal programming shall resume, and I'll see you all in the next video. Ta-ta.